Okay, so again, our module 12 is organizing the elements. Okay, so what we're going to discuss here is all about the brief history of the periodic table, and then of course, what are the different features of the periodic table. So everybody, I want you to have your periodic table, okay? And then later I'm going to discuss with you your project, okay? So let's start. Okay, so I wanted to look at the screen, and then what do you think would be the proper words for this? What do you think is the correct answer for this? Anyone? So try to look at the pictures here. So what do you think is the answer?
Periodic table, ma'am.
Okay, very good. The answer here is periodic table of elements. Okay, so I have provided here period, the table, and the elements. So what we're going to discuss again is all about the periodic table of elements. Okay, so what are the benefits that we get from the periodic table of elements? So if kung titingnan natin, ano nga ba ang nakukuha natin? Bakit ba natin kailangan pag-aralan yung periodic table of elements? Kasi kung titingnan natin, if we're going to recall the concepts of elements, okay, so these are set of elements wherein meron silang mga respective properties wherein if one element is combined with other elements, so you are about to make a compound or even a mixture, and then these properties, no, yung mga properties nila, no, pwede tayo makabuo ng bagong substance, okay? And these elements, if they are combined together, you are having a new substance that could be the solution for or a cure to any treatment. Pwedeng kapag nag-combine tayo ng mga elements, no, pwede rin tayong makagawa ng pagkain, makagawa ng medicine, okay? So, or any type of solution for agriculture, for the industry. So that's the benefit that we get from the periodic table. Kasi basically, when we're talking about periodic table, we're talking about the properties. Diba? Kasi hindi naman lahat sila ipare-pareho ng kanilang mga properties. All of them, kung titingnan mo, magtataka ka, bakit yung mga elements, iba-iba yung color. Okay, so as you can see here, they are classified according to their groups. Meron sa kanila, they are metals. Some of them are part of the transition metals. Sa kanila ay may mga non-metals sa kanila kasi may iba sa kanila ay gas. So definitely makikita natin, meron silang iba't ibang klase ng properties. Wherein, pag kinukumbay nga natin sa ibang properties ng ibang ng elements, we can discover new substance na makakatulong sa everyday living natin. So that's the benefit of the benefit of the periodic table, knowing the different properties of each element. Okay? Now, however, we're going to learn about the brief history of the periodic table. Paano nga ba nabuo ang isang periodic table? Okay, so we have to trace back the history. So that's one of our major objective for today. We're going to trace the history of the periodic table. Okay? Okay, so let's start with the timeline. Okay, so let's start with the first timeline. So we have 18 to 1849. Okay, so you have to consider that when we're talking about 1800s, okay, so ang pinaka-promising time niyan is it is the period of industrial revolution. So ano yung sabihin ng industrial revolution? So this is the time wherein people are now using machines. So dito unang ginamit yung iba't ibang klase ng machine o dito na-introduce yung tinatawag nating paggamit ng machines. And during that time, there were 24 additional elements who were discovered during that time. But of course, in connection with the periodic table, in connection with the discovery of the elements, so there was one person who became famous during that time. And he was Johann Wolfgang Dovereiner. Okay, so ano ba ang naging contribution niya when it comes to the periodic table? Okay, so he was able to classify the elements as triads. So, ano bang ibig sabihin pag sinabi mong triads? Pag sinabi mo kasing triads, we're talking about three elements. Yan. Kaya nga triads, so we're talking about three. But, pag sinabi kasi nating triads, they're actually talking about three elements with almost same property. So, meron silang characteristic na halos magkapareho. Okay, so they actually belong to the same group. Okay, however, uh, kinumbine silang tatlo and put as a triad. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. So we have chlorine, we have bromine, and iodine. Okay, so ito yung isang example ng triad na ginamit ni Dobereiner. Okay, so the concept of triad is that, sabi, the atomic weight of the second element, which is bromine, is actually the average of the atomic weight. So we're talking about the mass number of the first and the third. So ibig sabihin daw nun, pag kinuha mo daw yung mass number ni chlorine at saka ni iodine, inad mo at dinivide mo sa 2, you are going to get the approximate value of the atomic weight of bromine. Okay, so that is actually the concept of triad. Kaso ang tanong natin, bakit silang tatlo? So as I've said, kasi marami naman sila dun sa grupo na yun, no, dun sa group ng mga elements na yun. Why these three became triads? It's all because, as I've said na, ito yung mga elements na meron silang similar properties. So yun yun. Okay, actually during that time, there were 5 set ng triads na nagawa si Dobereiner. Okay, so I'm just going to give you 2 samples. Okay, so we have another set is the calcium, strontium, and we have the barium. Okay, so nasa isang group din sila. Okay, so sabi ko nga dun sa ating konsepto ng triad, so sabi natin, itong nasa pangalawa is actually the average weight of calcium and barium. So pag inad mo daw yan at dinivide mo sa 2, okay, you will get the average of the atomic mass of strontium. Okay, so yun yung pinaka main concept ng triads. Okay, so they get their similar properties together and put as triads. So that happens during the 1800s to 1849, and it's all because of Dobereiner. Okay, so next. Next to its timeline was 1850 to 1899. Okay, so this is actually the era or the age of classifying elements. Okay, so ibig sabihin, pag sinabi natin classifying elements, there were additional elements that were discovered. And at the same time, since kinaklasify na natin yung elements na ito, dito na nagsimula yung pag-introduce ng tinatawag nating periodic table. Yan. So there were promising people during that time na talagang nagbigay ng contribution nila, their own respective contribution in make their own periodic table. Kasi kaya sila gumawa ng periodic table dito para ma-classify na nga yung elements in their own respective properties or characteristic. No? So ito po yun. So as we move on, so again, there were 26 elements that were discovered. Okay, so ibibigay ko sa inyo, sino-sino yung mga tao na naging promising during this time. Okay, one of which was Alexander Emile Vigu de Saint-Chartois. Okay, so ito po, si Alexander Saint-Chartois. Okay, so he was able to classify the elements according to its atomic weight, but he was able to classify it in his periodic table in a manner of arranging it in a vertical manner. Vertical ang kanyang arrangement. At ano ang ginamit niya sa pag-arrange ng elements? Yung atomic weight. Okay, kasi ang sabi niya kasi may mga properties itong mga elements na ito, and at the same time they are in increasing atomic weight. Since similar yung mga properties niya, so he tried to arrange it in his own periodic table in a vertical manner. So anong tawag doon sa periodic table na kinontribute ni Alexander Sanshortua? Okay, so he actually named it as telluric helix. Yan. So makikita natin mamaya yung itsura ng telluric helix na yan. Okay, it's a bit complicated because the atomic weight of those are arranged in a vertical manner. Okay, so makikita natin bakit siya tinawag na telluric helix mamaya. Okay, so aside from Sanshortua, we also have another one. Okay, so we have John Newlands. Okay, so si John Newlands, he was able to classify this 56 elements, no, 56 elements in accordance to his law of octaves. Okay, so pag sinabi nating octaves, octaves means 8. Yan. 8. So, ibig sabihin, doon sa kanyang periodic table, there were 8 elements, no? There were 8 elements in 7 groups. So, may 7 groups, no? And then, he actually arranged it in a horizontal manner. So, may 8 na elements, no? Sa isang group, no? And then, there were 7 being arranged. So, 8 by 7. So, pag minultiply mo siya, 8 times 7 is 56 elements. So, that is in accordance to his law of octaves. So, naka-arrange siya by 8. And then, yung grupo niya is 7. So, that's the law of octaves. And that is according to John Newlands. So, tandaan nyo lang po yan. The law of octaves was contributed by John Newlands. Okay? So, next. Another one yan. Ito ang pinaka-kilala sa lahat. Okay? So, this is the reason why we are using periodic table. It's all because of Dmitri Mendeleev. Okay, so you have to consider that. So Dmitri Mendeleev was the first one to introduce his first periodic table. However, his periodic table, the elements were arranged in atomic number. Almost similar with Sanshortua. Kaso nga lang, iba pagdating kay Sanshortua. Kasi binigyan niya ng focus yung properties and it is in vertical manner. But in Dmitri Mendeleev, ang kanyang concentration lang is in accordance to its atomic weight. Okay, so makikita mo doon na doon sa periodic table na naka-arrange siya in accordance to its atomic weight o yung tinatawag nating mass number. Okay, so that is Dmitri Mendeleev's contribution. So sa kanya nagsimula ang ginagamit nating periodic table. Okay, so yan po. Kumbaga siya yung pinaka-basis kung bakit nagkaroon talaga ng periodic table. Okay, so next. Another one was Luther Mayer. Okay, ito naman si Luther Mayer. He was able to do the 28 elements in Dmitri Mendeleev's periodic table. Pero ang concentration ng kanyang arrangement is according to its atomic volume. So it's a bit complicated kasi atomic volume naman ang kanyang basis in arranging these elements. Okay. Okay, so yun po yung pinaka-basis naman niya. Okay, so ang pinagbasihan ni Luther Mayer during that time is yung 28 elements na nakalagay dun sa periodic table ni Mendeleev. But ang kanyang pinagbasihan naman in arranging the elements was the atomic volume. Okay, so atomic volume. ang kanyang contribution. So these are the different contributions of these people during 1850 to 1899. Okay, so next. Let's have this one. Okay, so this is Dmitry Mendelev's periodic table. So ito yon. So ibig sabihin na i-arrange na yung kanyang mga elements according to the atomic weight o yung tinatawag natin atomic mass. Okay, okay. So this is what I am referring to you earlier. Yung tinatawag nating telluric helix. Yan. So kung makikita natin dito. So these are the different elements. Yan. So inarrange siya. Kumbaga ginraph niya. Okay. So kung titignan natin, it's a bit complicated kasi nga ginagraph niya yung kanyang mga elements in accordance to its atomic weight. So kung ano man yung mga properties na almost similar, ginagraph niya. So meron siyang mga listahan ng mga properties na yun, and then ginagraph niya. So this is how telluric helix was shown during that time. And it is contributed by Sanshortua. Okay, so ito yung tinatawag nating telluric helix. Okay, so next. Okay, so let's have now 1900s to 1949. So kung i-analyze natin, 1900s to 1949, this is actually the period where dito naganap yung mga World War I and World War II. Diba? So dito naganap yan. So that's why on this timeline, this is said to be the era of quantum mechanics. Okay, so kung titingnan natin, ano nga ba ma'am yung quantum mechanics? Okay, in the present day, yung mga quantum mechanics na yan, ang mga products na nakikita natin out of the quantum mechanics, yung mga CDs natin, yung mga lasers, yan, even yung paggamit ng mga radioactive materials, yung mga LED lights ng mga Christmas lights natin, those are products of quantum mechanics. Okay, so in the present time, no? Pero kung titingnan natin, pagdating doon sa mga quantum mechanics na yan, doon commonly nagamit yung mga radioactive materials. Remember, 1900s to 1949 is actually the period of war. So talagang masasabi natin na dito talaga nagamit yung iba-ibang klase ng mga radioactive materials. Okay? So during that time, there were 13 new discovered elements. Okay? And these are the people. These are the people who have given their contribution during this timeline. Okay, so one of which was Henry Moseley. Yan. Okay, so I would like to stress out on this. Henry Moseley. Okay, so Henry Moseley was able to classify the elements according to its atomic number. Okay, pero ang pinaka-main basis ni Henry Moseley dito, of course, yung unang-unang ginamit na periodic table ni Dmitry Mendeleev. Okay, pero sa kanya naman, since he was able to discover the relationship between X-ray and the atomic number, so doon niya na-find out na pwede palang i-arrange ang mga elements in according to its atomic number. Okay, so instead of the atomic weight. So ang nangyari, what we are using right now, the periodic table that we are using right now is all because of Henry Moseley. Okay? Kumbaga, ang pinagbasihan niya is yung kay Dmitry Mendeleev. Minodify na lang niya na instead of using the atomic weight, he used it according to its atomic number. Okay, so kung ano man yung ginagamit natin in the present day, it's all because of Moseley. Kasi kung titingnan natin, talagang naka-arrange lahat ng mga elements natin according to its atomic number. But in our periodic table, we have already provided there not only the atomic number, but also we include atomic weight. Okay, so ito yung mga promising people na masasabi natin reason why we are using the periodic table. Okay, of elements. Okay, so next, another one, okay, was si Glenn Seaborg. Okay, so sino ba si Glenn Seaborg? Okay, so as you can see here in my screen, Glenn Seaborg proposed the Actinide series. Okay, so kung titingnan natin yung ating periodic table. I want you to look at your periodic table. Okay, the actinide series, it starts from the atomic number from 89 to 103. Okay. However, ito yung mas promising dito. Okay, so he was able to propose the use of actinide series in the Manhattan Project. Okay, so sino nakakaalam sa inyo anong ibig sabihin ng Manhattan Project? Do you have any idea about the Manhattan Project? Anyone? You can write your answer in the chat box, or you can answer it. Ibig sabihin ng Manhattan Project. Do you have any idea? Anyone? Okay. Pag sinabi nating
Nuclear
yes,
weapons.
yes, very good, very good. Tama kayo doon. Pag sinabi nating Manhattan Project, this is the project where dito unang gumawa ng nuclear weapon. Very good. Dito unang ginamit yung mga actinide series na yan to use or to form nuclear weapons or atomic bombs. Can you imagine? This happened in 1943. And World War II happens in 1945. So, ibig sabihin, there were 2 years na preparation para makagawa ng isang nuclear weapon. And remember, this actinide series are made up of radioactive materials. Yan. Lahat yan, mga radioactive materials. And these radioactive materials are used to make nuclear weapon. Yun po yung ginamit niya. And even that time, no, dito nag-start yung paggawa ng mga atomic bombs, nuclear weapons, which is because of the war itself. No? So ang pinaka-father of nuclear weapons was Robert Oppenheimer. So pwede rin natin i-consider si Albert Einstein na nag-contribute din, na masabi natin na nag-contribute dun sa paggawa ng mga nuclear weapons. Kasi in fact, si Albert Einstein actually wrote a letter to uh, Theodore, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know if it's Theodore Roosevelt, no? Parang doon siya sumulat, no, na talagang gagawa talaga ng kanilang nuclear weapon during that time. Remember, Albert Einstein was a German national, no? So nagamit niya yung kanyang knowledge para makagawa ng nuclear weapon. Okay, so this is actually the era, no? Yung 1900s to 1949. So dito ginamit yung mga elements na yun in making radioactive, to make a nuclear weapon. Okay? So, yeah. So this is what I would like to show you. So this is how Henry Moseley arranged the elements according to its atomic number. So kung makikita natin dito, nakagrupo na siya. So meron siyang group A and B na in real life, so even in the present, meron din tayong group A and B. No, which is mamaya is madidiscover natin ano pa ba yung mga features ng isang periodic table. Okay, so this is the contribution of Henry Moseley. Ito yung kanyang periodic table in terms of using the atomic number. Okay, so next, as we move on, okay, so this is our next objective. Okay, so we're going to describe the features of the periodic table. Ano-ano pa ba ang nilalaman ng ating periodic table? Okay, so the different features of the periodic table are, so it's only divided into three. So we have periods wherein the elements are arranged in horizontal rows, and then groups in vertical columns, and according to blocks. Okay, so ginagamit lang natin yung blocks primarily to know the energy level of each element. Okay, so let's start with the periods. Okay, so kung titignan natin, ang periods natin, we have 7. Okay, so tandaan natin, the periods are arranged in horizontal rows. Okay, horizontal rows. Okay, so ito po yung pinakatanong ko. So, balikan natin si periodic table. para at least you know paano naging pito. Okay, so I'm going to give you the sample of the periodic table. Yeah, so this is the periodic table. So as I've said kanina, okay, we have seven actually, no? So we have seven rows, no? Horizontal rows. So dito tayo magsa-start. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So kung titingnan natin, pag period, the elements are arranged in horizontal rows. Horizontal. Yan. Pag ganyan. Ganito po ang pag-locate natin ng elements. Yan. So remember, there are seven periods in a periodic table. So they are arranged in horizontal rows. Now, tingnan natin ilan yung elements sa bawat period. Okay, so I'm going to ask you the first question. How many elements do we have on the first period o period number 1? Ilan?
Two. Two.
Okay, very good. 2. Yeah, very good. So 2, so we have hydrogen and helium. So that belongs to period number 1. Okay, how about in number or period number 2?
Eight.
8.
Okay, we have 8. Yeah, very good. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8. How about in period 3?
8.
We have
Eight.
8. Yan. Okay, how about in period 4?
18.
Okay, we have 18. Okay, so we have 18. How about in period number 5?
18.
18
Eight.
din. Very good. How about period number 6?
32.
Okay, 32. Bakit naging 32? Okay, kasi meron pa dito, oh. Yan. Itong 57 to 71 na yan, ito yun na nasa baba. And that is what we call the Lanthanide Series. Okay, how about in period 7? How
32.
many? Okay, we also have 32. Okay, so ito yung 89 to 103, which states yung tinatawag nating actinide series. Okay, yung actinide series, balikan lang natin, yan yung mga elements na ginamit during 1900s to 1949 to make nuclear weapon. Okay, in what project? We call it as Manhattan Project. So yun po yun. So akala lang natin isang straight lang po yan. Pero may mga missing parts dito. Nandito po yan sa baba niya. So okay. So for period number 1, we have 2. Okay. Period 2 and 3, we have 8 elements. 4 and 5, we have 18. And then period 6 and 7, so we have 32 elements. So ganito po ang pag-locate natin. Pag sinabi natin, sinatawag nating periods by period or horizontal rows. Okay, so next. So aside from this period as a feature, so another one is yung tinatawag nating by groups. Okay, so by groups. Okay, so ang groups natin, it is now divided into 3 sets. Okay, so the first set will be the numbers are written in numbers, particularly from 1 to 18, from left to right. Okay, so papakita ko sa inyo mamaya yung isang sample ko ng periodic table na may mga numbers. Okay? And then the second set of the groups, no? Kasi tandaan natin, ito naman, pag sinabi mong groups, it is arranged in vertical column. So pababa naman. Kung kanina pahala, ngayon naman pababa, no? So the second set now, the elements are now divided into 2 groups. So we have group A and we have group B. So malalaman natin ano ba yung group A at ano ba yung group B. Okay, so the second set, again, these are labeled into 2 groups. We have group A and group B. Okay, so the totality of grouping the elements is part of the third set wherein nandun na yung Arabic numeral numbers and it is now divided into 2 groups, group A and B. Okay, so ito po yung pakita ko sa inyo yung pinaka-sample natin. So, as I've said kanina, in the first set, we have 18 numbers from left to right. So, ayan po yan. Yan po yan hanggang dito. Okay? Remember, if you are locating an element by groups, pababa naman po siya. Okay, pababa. So, if this is our period, ito naman by group, pababa. Okay? So, yan po yun. Now, if you're going to look at, again, the periodic table, okay, the elements are divided into two groups. So, meron tayong group A, yan, so nahati. So, ma'am, bakit ganun? Okay, hindi na concentrate dito sa gitna. Kasi ito pong nasa gitna, okay, ito po yung tinatawag nating group B. So, yun lang po ang tatandaan natin. So, si group A nahati, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Group A po yan. Okay? And then the middle part is already part of the group B. No? So, para malaman natin, ma'am, ano po ba ang group A at ano po ba ang group B? Okay, so pag sinabi natin group A, okay, so pag sinabi natin group A, so these are different uh, groups na tinatawag natin. So, under ng group A, we have 8. Okay, so ano-ano yun? So, for group 1A, we call it as alkali metals. Okay, so lahat ng nasa group 1A are called alkali metals. Pababa po ang laging tingin nun. Ha? Okay, and then for group 2A, this is what we call the alkali earth metals na tinatawag. Okay? For group 3A, we have boron. So, may clue naman tayo doon. So, pag nakita mo may B, that is the boron group. Yung buong napababa na yun is boron group. Another one is the fourth one is the carbon group. Okay? And then the fifth one is the nitrogen group. And then, of course, we have the oxygen group. Okay? For the seventh group, we have the halogens na tinatawag. Okay, so para standard lang po tayo. Itong binigay ko na ito po ang gamitin natin. So we have halogens. Although sa inyong mga periodic table, may mga kanya-kanya katawagan yan. So para mas standard tayo. So what I have given you the name. So yan na lang po ang gamitin natin. So for group 7, we have halogens. And then for group 8, we have the noble gases. Okay, so yan po yan. So primarily, makikita natin na commonly mga metals at saka mga non-metals po yan. No? Yan po yung mga metals at saka mga non-metals. Yung mga group A na yan. But when we're talking about B, no, yung group B na tinatawag natin, itong group B na po na yan, ang tawag natin dyan is yung tinatawag na transition elements. Ibig sabihin, pag mga transition elements, yan po yung may mga characteristic na may metal at saka non-metal. So that's why most of the transition elements are said to be called as mga metalloids. Commonly, madalas, no? Hindi naman lahat, pero most of the elements in the transition elements are said to be called as mga metalloids. No? Meron silang metals at saka non-metal properties. Kaya tinatawag na transition elements. So semi-metals o yung tinatawag nating metalloids na tinatawag. Okay, so this is what we call group A and B. Okay? Yan, so ito po yun. So, bigyan ko lang po ng stress. So, ito po yan. Ito po yung alkali metals natin. Alkali earth. We have boron. Yan. So, yan po yung pinaka, natin. So, boron group. We have carbon group. Okay. We have nitrogen. And then we have oxygen. Okay. And then the rest of this is halogen. And we have the noble gases. So, a combination of metals and non-metals. And then for this one, the transition metals are said to be the metalloids o mga semi-metals. Most of the elements here are metalloids or semi-metals. Okay, so pag group naman ang tinutukoy natin, pababa. Okay, ang pag-locate natin. Okay, so next. So let's now locate the elements. Ayan, okay. So aside from this, we have the blocks. Kasi ang blocks naman, ginagamit naman natin sa mga sub-levels, yung energy level. Kasi di ba sabi natin, ang mga electrons, they have the capacity to lose or gain. So since sila yung may mga orbits, no, sila lang yung may capability to lose or gain electrons. Okay, so dito natin malalaman by means of flux kung hanggang saan yung kanyang energy level to lose or gain electrons. So we have four. We have S block, we have P block, we have D block, and we have the F block. Okay? So yan po yan. Although we're not going to focus more on the block kasi it is connected with the electron configuration. But at least you know na may mga elements na kabilang lang sa S block, kabilang lang sa P block, kabilang sa D block, at saka sa F block. Sabihin, habang tumataas yung atomic number, ibig sabihin pataas ng pataas din yung blocks or energy level capacity ng electrons natin. Okay, so yan po yan. Okay, so this is what we call the S block dito. So this is the S block. So mostly, ito yung group 1A and 2A. And then another group of elements under group A. So from 3 to 8, so nasa P block sila. And then the transition elements belong to the D block. Okay, and the other part here belongs to the F block. Sabihin, masyado nang mataas yung kanilang atomic number and even the atomic weight as well. So ayan po yan. So mas maiintindihan natin yan if we do the electron configuration kasi doon natin malalaman na ito palang mga elements na to is actually having their own respective energy levels ng electrons nila. Okay? So yan po yun. Okay, now, paano tayo ngayon maglo-locate? No? So what we're going to do now is how are you going to locate an element? Okay, so I'm going to give you an example. So what if, ito po yun I want you to give me the element if I give you period and group. So what if my sample here is I want you to locate the element that belongs to period 2, group 2A. What is that element? Anyone? Period 2, group
Beryllium.
2A. What is the answer?
Beryllium.
Okay, beryllium. Okay, ma'am, bakit po naging beryllium? Kasi sabi, period 2. So, di ba ito yung period natin. So, kung period 2, dito lang kayo titingin. Ganyan. Kasi, ito lang po ang basihan natin. Okay, however, we're talking about locating the element under group 2A. So, 1, 2, ito po yun. So, kung may period 2, group 2A, so ito po yun. So, the answer here is beryllium. Okay, so another example para masanay tayo. What if I'm looking for period 6, no? Group 1B. Group 1B. Sige nga. I'm looking for period 6, group 1B. What's the answer? Just look at the screen. Period 6, group 1B. What's the answer?
Barium.
Group 6 and 1B. What do you think is the answer?
Gold.
Gold. Very good. Ito po yan, no? Period 6. Yan. 1B. So the answer is gold. Yan. Okay, another example. What if I'm looking for period 4, group 4B? Oh, period 4, 4B. What's the answer? What's the answer? Period 4, group 4B.
Titanium.
Okay, the answer is titanium. Okay, nakukuha po ba ako? So yan, ilolocate nyo lang po. So if this is period, no? And just be specific of the group. So ipapantay nyo lang po siya. Ilolocate nyo lang po siya. Okay, para lang yan sa math eh. Para nagko-coordinates lang kayo X and Y. So ganyan lang po. So the answer here is titanium. Okay? So let's have another example. Okay, let's have period 6, group 2B. Okay, period 6, group 2B. What's the answer?
Mercury.
Okay, we have mercury. Okay, so ito po yan. Period 6, group 2B. So the answer is mercury. Okay, another one. What if I'm looking for period 2, group 8A. Period 2, group 8A. What's the answer?
Neon.
Okay, we have neon. So we have period 2, 8A. Okay? So yun po yung ating element. Okay? So I'm going to give you time. I'm going to give you exercises.